Hi guys, how's it going today? I'm working on some projects for the upcoming Makers Faire, and I want to take some really simple projects with me. So the simplest thing that I can think of to make on the lathe is hairpins. Super simple. Long, straight, slight taper at one end, some sort of weird and funky design on the other. Cool thing is you get to play with different techniques for making the ends, and nothing is really wrong, especially if you're doing just one, or you can do a couple and try and make and learn that skill of repeating the project over and over again and learn on replicating something you've already made. Heck, if you want, you could even leave the end with the bark on it. That one's still got the teeth mark on it. All I'm going to do for this one is throw it on and sand off the teeth mark. And then I'm just going to use instead of putting that really shiny, nice, hard wood turning finish on it, I'm just going to use my beeswax and oil finish that I use on my other woodworking projects and the stuff that I make on the CNC machine. Finish on this part is important to be nice and smooth and be able to slide in and out. And I'll show you the finishes that I use when I'm actually turning. But the tip part, as long as it feels good to the touch, you don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to stress out. You can even make ridiculously long ones like I did when I was first learning. Hairpins. Great way to start wood turning. Great way to start making and just getting out in the shop and doing something. So I'm going to show part of the process here. What I like to do when I'm starting out with making a hairpin, I take one that I like the length on. He's a pretty length. He's really thick. And I'm starting out with square stock. I get a lot of rough cut lumber. So you'll see saw marks on both sides. This is rough cut bandsaw lumber or Amish lumber. I'm going to hold my hairpin up to the side of my piece about what I want. What did I use for my first hairpins? A pencil. Women use pencils in their hair all the time. When I started making hairpins, my first measuring tool was a pencil. Make them pencil sized. That was my goal. Pencil size. Got a little carried away. Had a little extra wood. Why cut off more than I had to? So I'm just going to hold it up to my piece of wood or hold a pencil up. Mark it. Remember, you have to cut off a little bit extra because you're going to chuck it up. And when I do mine, I use the point and the chuck on both sides. Or I use the chuck on one side and the point on the other to help hold it and make it more stable. So I'm going to cut blanks. And then I'm going to go to my lathe, which unfortunately isn't here anymore. I learned to turn on a jet lathe. And my brother lent it to me when he was working out of town. So I had to give that back. So now I'm going to go over and use my dad's really big fancy lathe. Adjustable speeds, all the bells and whistles you could ever want in a lathe. So I'm going to take you over there and I'll show you some of the lathe tools that I use, how I sharpen some of them, and part of the process that I use. Hairpins. Simple. You can't mess this up, guys. I'll see you in a little bit. So I'm using my 12-inch... Hey guys, I'm using the 12-inch DeWalt miter saw. And that's what I'm going to use to cut this. The blade on this actually has to be replaced because I'm an idiot and I cut through my fence the first day I had this thing. My aluminum fence with this blade. This is the blade that came in the machine. And DeWalt blades are awesome, but I can't afford DeWalt blades. So this is just 12-inch chop saw. What I'm going to do is cut my first one. Line it all up. I always hold down until it stops spinning just because that's the way I like to do it. I'm going to bring it back down. Line up for the next one. Go again. And I'm just going to cut a stack of these guys. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Cut a bunch of blanks. I'm going to have some break. I'm going to have some of them blow apart on me. I accept it. Part of being a new woodworker and a new wood turner. Stuff ain't going to work out every single time. So we're going to do the best we can with what we got. Because the guy who does garden fork, and I forget his name right now, his saying is the enemy of done is perfect. Perfect is the enemy of being done. Something like that. So our goal for today is done, not perfect. And if these aren't exactly the same length, guys, you know what? It really won't matter. It just means we have more sizes. And if we get ones that are short, that means they're for children. Or if you get short ones, they're shawl pins. So that's it, guys. We got a couple of blanks. I'm going to cut some more up before we go over. This is cherry. Smells great. Some nice variants in the wood there. Should look really good when we turn it. Alright guys, I'm going to cut some more blanks and then we'll retake up at the lathe. Alright guys, so I already have a piece chucked up in the lathe. It's a hunk of cherry. It's one of the cut-offs from when we were milling the lumber down that we get from the Amish. So it's all rough cut on the one side and smooth on the other. So we're going to do the hairpins today. Yes, I've changed clothes, I have a haircut, and I've shaved. It's been a little while since I started this video. So we're going to do some turning on the lathe. We're going to do the hairpin. And again guys, I'm not teaching you how to do it. I'm showing you some options of stuff that you should be able to do on your own. Hairpin is a very simple project. There's really not that much to it. You're going to make a very clean taper from one end to the other. If you want, quite a few styles of hairpins are just a long straight taper. Very simple, easy to do. If you want to get fancy, you can put little knobbles and things on the end of them to make them look fancy. Completely up to you, however you want to do it. I find playing with the ends that are sticking out of the hair at the top, there's a good chance we can play with some different techniques for using the lathe and getting some good practice on using my lathe tools. So here we go guys. So that's it guys, that's a simple hairpin. Not a terribly sharp point on it. And the other end, nothing fancy. Just kind of rounded it off. Towel. Salvation Army. I buy a whole box from them at a time for a couple bucks. And I use them out in the shop all the time. Again, super simple project. Really fun, great beginner's project. And something that's useful and usable. And any wife will not complain about you being out in the shop making her hairpins so that she could find something to accent her beauty. Don't ever tell her it'll make her more beautiful. You want to accent her beauty with your woodworking. There you go guys, there's your pickup employee line for the day. Have a good one, enjoy.